And we're live, folks, back again. This is the Shoutouts and Literature. Your host, JP, aka the Demon, and the captain is...
Not here.
Not here.
Fail.
Boo.
He fails.
Okay.
He did bow out. However, in his place, we do have John and potentially a surprise guest who will join us later. We'll see. We don't know that for sure, but it may happen.
If
However,
work doesn't keep it too long.
Yeah. Work almost kept me too long.
Yeah.
So I understand that. So let's go round circle. Special guest, not the captain, but the sunshine.
Very nice. How you guys doing? Good to be back after a long hiatus. Looking forward to talking about some Sanderson with you.
Yes.
Nice. Cherry here. How's it going? Glad to be back.
Brett, the director.
Ben the Hitman.
Aim the Dream.
The dream. And you
Oh, yeah,
go
I'm
ahead.
finally
Sorry.
back. You're welcome.
And always so
And
dreamy.
always so
Been
dreamy.
gone for a
Always
while.
so dreamy.
Always Evie, always so dreamy. Oh, I did it. All
Jeffrey
right.
always says that. That's why they're making fun of him.
I do always say that. This is awkward because every time I look over here to see the captain's great Andros face,
He's not there.
his floating head,
Yeah.
he's just not there. So this is going to be fun. Okay,
right.
To start, we are talking Warbreaker. Part 1, which means for us, part 1 is through, so folks, through chapters 32.
32.
Up to 33. We did not read 33. So if you are reading with us, keep that in mind. And also, we will not spoil for a few folks who had read this in years past.
Try not to
or
spoil.
Exactly, we will not spoil up through that
Try
point.
not to.
With that said, let's go round robin. Overall impressions. I'll sunshine.
What? You want me to start?
Yes.
Ah, crap. I'll just point out some basic observations that I had. Oh, overall, of course, I really, really liked it. I was really happy that I picked it up kind of at the last minute, not even a week, 5 days before this podcast. I didn't even know what was happening actually. And
That's why he's here.
I knocked it out really quickly because I was driving to Canada and back. And I was really pleased with it. Once again, Sanderson just blows you away with his ability to world build and create completely new systems that no one's ever thought of before.
Yeah.
Just super neat.
That we know of.
That we know of.
And I think to bring up some contrast with his other books, the ones that we've also been reading, or you guys have been reading, the Stormlight Chronicles. Archive, yeah. I like how I feel like this is a little more focused, world-wise. I know there's a lot more out there in the world, but right now, up to this point, it's really focused, the character-wise and world-wise. It's only we're only talking about Idris, Hallandrin, and Teteller. And obviously we know there's more out there, but I'm enjoying the detail that's coming in, and kind of calm. It's kind of more calm and is a slower introduction into the overall world than I felt the Stormlight Archive was. It was all these people all at once, and there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like this is just it's a little bit more narrow. Obviously, he wrote this one before, though, right?
Yeah.
He did, and
And
it's
this is
a
a
one
solo.
It's a single book.
And
It's a solo.
one single book. Yeah.
Okay.
Which helps it.
Okay.
So,
Great. So anyway, those are my overall impressions. It's great, and I'm really enjoying it.
Nice. I also thoroughly enjoyed this book. I actually read it maybe 7-8 years ago, so this is a revisit for me. And being able to kind of go through and really reread it and reappreciate it after doing, like John said, the Stormlight Archive, and kind of see how some of that his writing has changed, or from how it changed at Stormlight Archive versus this and some of that. But I actually really enjoy this. This was one of the first books that I read when we found out that he was going to be writing the ending of the Wheel of Time series. So this was my, okay, well, let's find out what this author is. And this book did not disappoint at all, and it's really good. So I thoroughly
something
enjoyed it.
funny about what Cherry said is that he read this 7 or 8 years ago.
Jeez.
Which, when we were reading Stormlight Archive, some of our listeners have pointed out that this would answer a lot of our questions.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is, that Josh forgot them.
I literally, when they told me that
You're so smart.
You're reading it fresh again, basically.
I pretty much am. It's
basically
funny,
fresh.
when they told me that we were reading this, I went to go download it from Kindle, and, on my Kindle, and I went there, and I'm like, oh, you already have it, and I went there, and it said 100%. I'm like, oh.
I've actually had that happen with movies before, where I'm like, oh, I've been meaning to watch this movie for a long time, and then like halfway through it, I'm like, she gets stabbed right here.
Wait,
I've
so-
seen this before.
It's not like you just forgot details. You forgot you read the book completely.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
the name of it. Once I started reading it, I
It
now...
came back. It came back.
Things
Got
have
it.
come back, and all I really remember is the very end, so I will make sure to not do any
Nice.
bets on that.
But it was funny because so many times some of our listeners were commenting on some of our Oathbringer episodes.
Oh, and-
they're like, "Oh, don't worry, you got to read Warbreaker because
Yeah.
that's going to explain some of this stuff." Then we're reading Warbreaker, and John's like, "I already read this." I'm like, "Why didn't you answer our questions?"
7
Damn it.
years, there's no way I remember any of those names.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I'm just giving you
Well, I'm
crap.
glad.
I'm just giving you
kinda-
crap.
It's better that he didn't.
Yeah,
It is
probably
better.
better.
I agree because we enjoyed this, and now I have lots of theories that are not confirmable until we finish the book.
Also, shout out to one of our YouTube listeners that interacts with us a lot in the comments.
Yeah.
Animalia, I believe
it
it's
Animalia?
pronounced.
Animalia.
Animalia, maybe.
I can't- I'm sorry.
He or she
Let's check.
is the one that kind of recommended for us to do Warbreaker next because he knows he researches it a
They
lot.
know
I
a
think
lot.
they,
They know,
yeah,
yeah.
I should say they know a lot about like the world and stuff like that, and have been interacting with us a lot and giving us like kind of direction on, oh, you might want to look at this because you guys were discussing this, and it's
Yeah.
been kind of cool.
Cool.
So me, for this book, I had a different take from all of you. I didn't like it. No, I'm just kidding. I absolutely love it. I'm so glad to be back to Sanderson. For me, there's something about Sanderson's writing that just like really, really clicks with me. Even amazing writers like Stephen King and George R.R. Martin that I've been reading a little bit recently while we've been getting back into this. Just I love their writing. I loved The Dark Tower, but like for some reason this just feels like really, I don't know, comfortable
on
to
your
me.
level.
It's on my level a lot. Like he does a lot of things that I really like. He explores a lot of different points of view, which is something that I really appreciate. And I agree with John completely on the whole, like it seems like this story's more focused. It's a single book, and coming from the Stormlight archive, it was actually really weird for me to have like a chapter where there was one character, and then like the next chapter, oh, it's that character again. I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. So it's much more focused, and it's kind of comforting a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I can't tell you how many times on that. I can't tell you how many times a chapter is ending, and I'm telling myself, please just continue what you were just talking about.
yeah. I also found it really interesting from a stylistic point of view because I don't think I've come across this often. I'm sure you guys have read more than me, so you probably have seen it more often, but the whole idea of just like suddenly switching to a completely different story mid-chapter, like it'll be like talking about Siri,
Yeah, yeah.
and then all of a sudden, boom, the other one. I thought
Right,
that was
yeah.
really interesting, and to me that was a refreshing pacing thing as well, so it was just there was lots of surprises for me as always with Sanderson,
And then it'll sometimes go bad.
and I love everything about it. I don't know if you said it during your little review, but like Josh was saying beforehand, the magic system's amazing.
Yes.
And just everything about this so far,
Magic.
up to chapter 32, obviously, has been fantastic for me.
And by the way, just as a note, I checked it. I don't know that I'm pronouncing it right yet anyway. Animalia.
Animalia.
Like the king.
with an
Animalia.
Animalia.
I don't know. Anyway, if we get it wrong, go ahead and comment with their pronunciation.
Either way,
We'll say it right.
special
But
shout out
awesome
to them.
Special shout out.
That's
to
based on like scientific classification or whatever, right? Like domain. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Family.
you. Animalia.
That's
Familia.
right, okay.
Familia.
All right,
Familiar.
go for it, Ben.
That's Spanish.
Man,
Yeah.
he's my familiar.
Yeah, I really
summon
enjoyed
many
the first 32 chapters of this book. And I loved how he writes his characters. So, like, they're strong and different and independent of each other. They don't follow the same course. Like, even the two sisters, they're so different.
So different, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
But they still have, like, they don't have that reaction like, oh, they're so different in the fighting, they don't get along.
Yeah.
But you see how Vivian like tries to baby her little sister. But I also could tell this is really one of his first books. Like, there's a couple of things in the chapters I know is like this doesn't make sense, and
Like what?
uh,
Oh wait,
I'll talk about it
yeah,
later.
I'm interested. Hook,
And
line,
then-
and sinker.
Yeah, but other than that, it's definitely a great book.
Cool.
Very nice.
Emmanuel.
Book is good so far. I agree with Brett. I think that just Sanderson in general just resonates more with me than other writers or authors. I think that overall, I'm really enjoying majority of the characters. There's a lot of definitely relatable people, and especially like gods. Like I wake up every day like
Yeah.
I'm a god. But why don't I have special powers?
Manny is the God King.
No, I talk too much to be the god.
Man, he's not a foot taller, but his head's a foot bigger.
Wow. I didn't hear this much commentary when other people were speaking. Okay.
This review could use a little less
Story seems really pretty cool. The only thing that I would say that I am a little, I guess, surprised by is the lack of detail with like the history for me so far. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I think he's painted a pretty good picture.
I think because it's a one-off and because it's kind of like a sub-story, it's just one of those things where it's a little more shallow, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Not that that's a bad thing.
It's harder to get
It
them.
reminded me of Elantris when I read that. More of a purified, better, more mature version of Elantris.
Tell us how you really feel.
That's exactly how I really feel.
It almost kind of feels like the difference between the movie version of something and the TV show version of something.
It's like a little bit tapered
It's like
back.
we come from this that are so thick and has 3 books already, and then we come to this, and it just feels different.
Now, he did write this in 2009, right after Mistborn, and the next book that was released was, the next book in the Cosmere that was released was Stormlight Archive, book
Way of King.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, however, in between, no, I think that was it. So, the interesting thing about it is it does feel Elantris, like John described it really well. It reminded me of how I felt with Elantris. Is like it was a scope specific, a geographic region, a few nations. And the story was really about those people in those areas, and that's how this is. Mm-hmm. But I like how it hints at such a rich world around it, almost as if he's kind of doing it in case he decides to return.
He throws it in there. He throws it in there.
So, or it may even be tied in as we find out to Stormlight, So, yet to be seen, but it may tie in very well there. I loved it so far through chapter 32. Mainly, I love the magic system. It's an easier read for me. It's like more chill. There's less complexities and characters, and so for me, it's a great right before bed. Just kind of let it soak in.
I know with this book, like after each chapter, I was able to like take some notes and like regather my thoughts. With like Stormlight, I was just like, "There's too much. I'm done. I'm not taking notes on this."
So my thoughts exactly.
To be honest, you guys are making me really sad right now. This just shows how I went into this without knowing much. I didn't know it was a one-off.
Oh my god, me either.
Well,
I'm so used to him making like series.
these big
like,
I'm reading this book and I'm like, oh man, I can't wait for the next one.
Crap. We don't actually know. It's not exactly a one-off.
So far, it is.
Well, I was going to
So-
ask, does he have any
Yeah.
plans? Or
I don't
not
know.
as of now.
I don't follow very as much as I do. I should be following more. I don't know. There's no plans right now. I guess
It's
And
not
it's been
on
about
his,
10 years,
It's
so.
not on his website as anything that's currently
Just
in
tracking
production.
it.
However,
Yeah.
in his mind, maybe. The other thing is that some of these characters we do know,
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
flowing through. So there may be a reason for that as well. Sure. In the long scope of the huge 10-book or 12-book scope. Was it 10? I think it's 10-book scope of Stormlight Archive.
It'll be 5 and
It might
5.
be 12. I can't remember.
I heard 5 and 5. It's going to be 5 based on one arc and then 5 of another arc.
Of another arc. Okay.
Awesome.
Which is cool because I actually love the second arc of Mistborn.
I
Which
haven't
we are
gotten
gonna
into
do
that one, but I
next.
do really enjoy the first 2 books of Mistborn more.
Oh, it's glad that you're... Wait, you already read them?
Yeah, I'm re-listening to them right now.
I am letting you know that is next. Just so you know.
Well, after
Oh,
Skyward,
Skybreaker.
Skybreaker or whatever. Yeah.
The
Skyward?
first of the series. Anyway, enough of it. It's
linking?
it's awesome, folks.
All
So,
right, let's get into it.
With that said, we're getting into it.
Now, big spoilers ahead, yeah.
All right. So next on my bitch notes are breath system.
Yes.
Are we saying breath or breath?
I heard
He
Brett.
said breath
I heard
system.
Brett.
System.
Sanderson and I are pretty close, and he named the system after me.
I was wondering.
It's why they're called Brett Vets.
Inhaling.
How many Bretts do you have?
okay.
I will start and say that I think this is so unique, and it's such a creative way of going about it that when I first read this, I remember being just blown away by such a unique.
Oh, you were
way
blown
of
away by the
looking at-
breaths,
by the
huh? Oh, no point intended.
Especially
Manny
when you
hasn't
have
eaten
1,000
today,
plus.
and he's drinking, so...
He's gonna go
It took
fast.
his breath away.
So it absolutely blew me away. Say it again. You guys are destroying my thoughts here. But I love it, and I'm
it's the lack of
actually
breath.
married to a artist. So when we would talk about, when I would kind of talk to her about it, she loved the idea of like the colors and how you can see that the richness of the colors and how your power affects the colors around you. It adds a really cool kind of extra layer that can bring in a lot of people. So not only do you get this like great literature, but like you have these awesome visuals in your head that are just so kind of crazy, especially when they go in, even without the magic system, going into the town, all the colors, but then you start to hear about how the reds become more maroon and deeper and darker, like more rich with color as like these people who have more power or more enlightened to walk around.
Can I add on real quick? It's not just colors, actually. It's senses, because like perfect pitch and tone and also your sense. Like suddenly you have spider sense.
Yeah,
It's like
you can feel people around you,
So
as long
anyway,
as they have a breath.
that's all I had to say.
But how I just absolutely loved it, and I think this was I think I even mentioned this at the beginning of the Stormlight Archive, just being how granted these are all in the same Cosmere, but they're different worlds, so they have his way of looking at like creating these unique magic systems is just unparalleled from anything I've ever read.
Yeah. I agree.
There's not a whole lot to say about it because, more for me to add to it because obviously, yeah, it's just really cool. It's a really great new concept. Just another point is it's neat how he kind of uses that concept in a similar way with the Stormlight Archive, with sucking in
Or giving.
the Stormlight and things
their
like
case.
that. Yeah, and also even more so, I think the breaths are awesome, but even more so, I really like how he takes something as simple as color, and we think of it as a very simple thing in this world, but just reconceptualizes it completely in this world, and it means something completely different to them, and it reacts physically in different ways in their world. I just think that's super neat.
Yeah, I like the breath system a lot. I think there's a lot of cool things to think about when, with how he presents it in the books. I think one cool thing is like the God King, for example. I think breath can kind of draw a weak analogy to just like power and influence and money, like in our world in general. And it's kind of cool, like the way when I was like reading it, I was just like, oh, it's kind of interesting because I see that I feel like that can happen in our world as well. When you get so much power, when you get so big, when you're seen as such like a godlike creature, the God King sees like in colors, like he doesn't even see people anymore. They're just like almost like on a different plane. He almost becomes detached from them because he's just like so high up. And like sometimes you hear that with like really rich people. They'll be like, oh, I feel like, detached from humanity. I feel like separated from them. So I feel like there are some like parallels to be drawn kind of loosely, but there are some parallels to be drawn between like influence and money in our world and like the breath system in this world, which I thought was really interesting. And I also think it's interesting how like you have to give it. It can't be like taken from you.
Well,
Which is very unique from
they kind of can take it.
yeah,
And they showed in the
torture.
prologue that,
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, eventually he would have given it to them.
Well,
Manipulate
through
people
torture.
into
yeah,
giving
yeah.
it to
Or you just torture them long enough.
Yeah, but also like even a lesser scale, like when they want to go into the court of gods, that long as you have the first lightning,
They don't even like check anything.
you can just walk right
Yeah.
in. And it's like It's status symbol.
And
Exactly.
the people guarding the gate have the first heightening
Yeah.
to make sure
be able
that
to see.
Right.
whether
Yeah,
those
yeah.
people can get in or not. It's interesting.
Yeah.
What you
So,
were
yeah.
saying, Brett, on that. So just to make sure that happened when he was talking about Siri's beauty, because you mentioned what the God King sees.
Right.
Yeah. Like how he sees beauty is completely different than
Right.
everyone else.
Yeah.
because-
Everybody looks
Yeah.
the same basically to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. Siri doesn't. Like she's
But I think that-
more beautiful.
I was actually thinking that the
Well, it's
reason that they had that
personality.
connection was because of the other things that were happening. The fact that they were connecting on a deeper level.
Yeah.
That he'd
You know?
never
Yeah.
had a chance to
Yeah,
with anyone
to
else
do
'cause
with
everyone's so
anybody
scared
else.
to-
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
To
He was saying,
him,
like,
it has to be on a deeper level.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
Because
it
he
can't
sees
be
people.
it. He's just like,
I think
like,
that. I
every
think that. But I also
imperfection-
think Siri's special to a certain extent.
Probably.
I think so.
We
Really,
may find
though?
out.
A little bit, yeah.
I'm just kidding. Just the contrast, I guess. I don't know enough about the breath system to really say that I think it's
Unique.
like as cool, I guess. For me, it's a little, it's different, definitely, and something that I'm trying to learn about. But I don't think that I necessarily would say that it's my favorite. I don't know. I think there's some things about it that are just a little bit unfulfilling for me.
like what?
For me, like magic system, it seems like something that you should earn. Where this, it doesn't really seem like people earn it.
they just give
it's
it
kind of
to
like
them.
you just take.
You buy it.
Yeah. And for me personally, the way that I look at magic, I feel like it's something that people get like out of a relationship that they filled, or studying, or something that they did. You know what I mean? Like this is just like.
Yeah, because in this
Okay.
system,
Well-
anyone become a mage.
Yeah, you can get
I
whatever
know,
heightening
but there's
you want.
but in order to do certain things, especially awakening, it still takes a certain amount of skill. Like you have to practice and be good at it in order to do it.
Not really, because you have Avenna who doesn't have any breaths for the longest time. Immediately gets a lot of them and is able to do a lot of the.
No,
things
no,
that
no.
they
As
want.
far as
No,
far as her
no, she can't.
senses, she can, but she
She
can't.
can see
awaken.
color.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking
Well,
about awakening.
Yeah.
Oh.
She can't do any of the
There are
magic.
still
Yeah.
magic like aspects that require.
Yeah,
Well,
when
and
you awaken
even
stuff, you need
what's
to
his face?
visualize what you want and like.
I could
commands.
work out all. I mean, of course, this requires effort on like getting breasts, but regardless, I could work out all I want and get a ton of muscles, and it's not like I'm gonna be able to wrestle well. You know what
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
you need to practice at it.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of system.
That's and they said something about, although we don't know a ton about it because we haven't gotten all the details yet, but it's about a very, very precise intent combined with language,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
why they cut the
The tongue out of the God
Yeah.
King.
Yeah. So,
So I guess like I said, I just don't know enough about it to say that I
Yeah.
think this
Yeah.
is the best magic system.
right now
Oh,
you
we
know
didn't say it
you
was the
could you
best.
could
Yeah,
buy all
I
of
just
them.
said it was
Yeah.
really
It was
interesting.
just interesting.
I think
so
it's-
different.
Well,
Yeah.
in general, I mean, like I don't know if I'd say like, oh, this is awesome.
Right, right.
I mean,
Also,
it's
I don't,
unique.
Also,
definitely.
I don't
do
really
know.
see the breath as being the magic system. It's like an element in the magic system. The magic
it's-
system is being able to use that breath through awakenings,
Well,
right?
it's
I
the
feel
power
like-
Yeah.
source of the magic system.
This is how I would attribute it to, because I'm not a good MMO gamer. I never have been. It would be like if I went into the World of Warcraft, bought all of my levels, and then went into a PvP like
Raid.
Yeah.
pro
You
raid.
Get
could
destroyed.
probably do okay, but yeah,
No.
you always have
But what I can do in this world is buy all my levels.
Yeah.
So that's like how I look at it a little bit.
It's a pay to play.
It's a little bit different. Like I could buy all my levels, but then
I agree with Manny though
skills
that
up.
if this was a series, I think that it would get a little old because it almost seems like there's no like work
Higher-
toward it.
Yeah,
You know,
higher
there's no
aspirations
other
besides
aspirations.
just
Yeah,
buying
exactly.
be a one-off.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the exciting thing is he's just like selling child labor to get like as much money as he can to buy more breaths. That's like the
Yeah.
hero's ultimate goal.
But like the thing is, I personally don't think I have a good grasp as to what a breath is really, though. I mean, we have a
Yeah,
that's-
concept of it, but we don't know exactly what it is.
But I like it because people in their own world don't.
yeah,
They have different
That's what I
views on
mean.
it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
exactly.
Some people
yeah.
think it's your soul.
Yeah,
yeah, and other
Or it's
people
just
are like,
not.
it's nothing. It's for
It's not that big of a
doesn't
deal
even
if you don't
change
have
stuff.
it.
Whatever, I
Changes
could
a
just
little
buy
bit.
one back.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it's not yours that you were
Yeah.
born with.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I know it's super weird.
That's
And,
what
like,
makes it interesting.
what are the
to me,
rules about it that I like? You can't give one breath; you have to give all of it
All
at
of it,
once.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
Which
don't
is
know,
weird
just
because you can
questions.
give like 2 of it to reanimate an object or to
Just need
animate like or 1, yeah, to
As long as
animate
it's not
something.
living.
Yeah,
already. Or no,
but
no.
I guess
as long as
yeah,
it's
if
not a
it's
human.
Yeah, as long
But you
as
can't
it's
get
not a
it
human.
back.
Yeah, but it's weird like that.
But you get part of it back.
Yeah, you do. Well, only as long as you're not reanimating something.
You get all of
If you're
it back.
animating an
All of it back.
inanimate object, you can. And I guess the stronger it is the more how much
Requires.
connection it has to
Humanity.
its previous life or being alive, which is really unique.
Also-
which makes me think that it does kind of move more towards a soul because it
Yeah.
wants to be able to say like you can't put soul in something that never existed, like steel.
And isn't
like
that
a rock.
isn't that interesting though? Because in
What
Stormlight
about-
Archive Shadesmar, all of the beads, they're like their own like
The life
living
things,
entities.
yeah.
And like I'm a stick, but like in the normal world, it's like it's a stick. But in Shadesmar, that stick has like a soul to a certain
soul, yeah.
extent.
Yeah.
Of it being a
So
stick.
it's kind of interesting. The reanimation of the objects in this
Yeah.
world is like them trying to like have a soul.
Tie
I wonder
into
if
it,
I wonder
maybe.
if Shadesmar exists in this world too.
But
to a
Josh,
certain
yeah.
extent.
what do you think
Along
about
those lines.
They might travel
the
through
Black
Shadesmar, we
Sword.
know that.
Them?
Oh, the black sword being created to
Well, we don't really know too much about it, but it's definitely sentient.
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 Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And
the black
it's
sword's super
steel.
weird.
So it wasn't live beforehand like the other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but was
Could
it in? We don't know if it was infused with souls.
We don't know
right?
how it was
No.
made.
We know
I
it.
don't.
It's just
Yeah.
an idea.
It's an idea, but
Yeah.
it seems likely if it was from this world, that it was somehow created with the
Yeah.
magic system.
Yeah, with souls.
Which is really interesting because it kind of does the opposite effect of having breaths. It dims down colors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
it doesn't
steel's
dim them.
color.
Well, it makes
No.
them deeper, so it'll take like a blue and it'll make it like a navy.
Navy.
Well, and when you
Yeah.
get stabbed, they have a
Makes it
gray
like a
wound.
strong
It
Yeah.
takes
color.
all.
It takes all the
It
color.
takes the color out, which actually lends itself to the same as when you use the magic system here. You take the color off of something near you. So,
Yeah.
like when Vasher uses the magic, the rock near him's all drain color, the wood drains color, and his like shoe drains color. So maybe that does lend itself more to that.
Well-
This sword is of this world.
And are we connecting it yet to?
Yeah.
Because
I mean, we
when
can.
we haven't seen it unsheathed in this book yet, but in another book we have, and it just bleeds like black. It just
Yeah.
bleeds blackness and
Yeah.
things like that, and that's like kind of another play on color and like
Yeah.
kind of what it's doing and
Yeah.
stuff.
And it talks to you.
Something about color. It's what the director mentioned earlier. Vasher in the prologue, I think you said, and I think I remember it being. He mentions when he gets all those breaths back.
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh, but you wouldn't go to the fifth, something to the fifth."
Oh, yeah.
requirement."
So
Fifth
tightening.
heightening.
Yeah,
Fifth
he
heightening?
said there's something about the fifth level that he had to make a sacrifice that he was
Yeah.
unwilling
No.
to do.
He was saying he could. I think he does get to the
Oh.
fifth heightening. He's saying he could have gotten to the fifth heightening without going through what he went through, without stealing it from Var.
Yeah.
But he wasn't willing to make the sacrifice of getting them that way.
But yeah.
Right.
But what do you think that means?
But
I
I
know
think
that
that
is.
could have
What is
meant
that?
that could have meant that he just didn't. He would feel maybe he knows more about the magic system and he'd feel too guilty taking 500
people's
lives
breaths.
from other people or
But-
souls.
Do you think he meant like
Could be
if
a
he
little.
drew the blade
Oh, or he could
also
have
has
taken
his
them
own
from-
rule, or
Yeah.
so would that give
Yeah.
him push him to the fifth
that
heightening
could
full time?
that could be too. That's a good point. I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, we don't know what that
That
sacrifice
he
is.
that he
yet.
could potentially have gotten those breaths from the sword itself.
Or maybe even like using the sword as a way of stealing breaths.
Yeah.
Like when the sword just kills someone on its own, it like takes it into itself. Maybe you could take those out.
Well, now
Because-
it does later on say something about the lady that created the sword or whatever.
It
I
killed
guess
her.
they are the ones, or it is the one that killed her.
Yeah.
I wonder if like the creation of the sword is like what killed her, or if they killed her after the fact.
seemed like it
what
was
if she gave
after-
all of her breath in order to create this thing?
I think it was after because the sword
seems
even
like it,
talks about having fond memories of being with her.
Oh, that's
which,
true,
Which
that's
would make
true.
you think because the Vasher comments, he's like, the sword knows that she's dead, but I don't think it remembers.
No,
What
no,
if-
no.
what if those were
chooses-
before it was-
Even though it hears it, it chooses to ignore
Ignore
the
it.
fact.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if it was, like it's Shadesmar self. Like
Oh.
it has like memories of it when it was
A
inanimate.
normal sword.
But then
Yeah,
then it it was like the trusty sword.
Another thing I'm confused about the sword is
I don't know, but
Like, so they said it is made to vanquish evil or whatever.
No, he thinks he's.
Well, well, no. See, that's my
Tell me
question.
it's
Is,
evil,
are,
baby.
are the-
Yeah.
does he have rules or does he have codes? Because what about Vasher? Is Vasher good or evil?
Yeah,
so
that's a good
Because he'll
question.
kill. Because you see it with the other people that interact with the sword.
Yeah.
The people who shy away from the sword, I'm guessing are pure of
Pure
heart
heart,
to a
yeah,
certain
that are
extent.
people.
I would
The
say
people
not
are-
tempted by the sword.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah,
'Cause-
and then the ones that are tempted to it have darkness in their soul, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And he
Right.
kills them. My question is, does he have rules and laws that he has to follow, he or she or it has
I
to
don't know,
follow?
yeah.
Or is it kind of just like doing what it feels like it should do?
I
Yeah.
feel like it doesn't because
Yeah.
it always just wants to kill everybody,
Mm-hmm.
and he can't. I don't feel like he can distinguish between good and evil.
So
Because
then,
like I could have done better. I could have killed them.
Sure,
Like
sure.
the two guards outside.
Yeah, because he was like, "Oh, let me at him. I would have killed him."
so then,
Stupid shit.
So then, do you think he doesn't necessarily choose his bearer, whether on they're good or evil, but the potential for killing?
Could be. So
Maybe.
maybe.
Like he knows he can kill.
He may,
like,
he
a lot
may
of
not
people with
even
Vasher.
choose it. It may just be like trying to convince the bearer, whoever's using it, just like
Yeah.
he does in Oathbringer.
But
Like,
it's-
just kill him.
But
Let
one
me
thing
kill him.
Interesting
You know?
is then this
Let me
is from the very
fight.
beginning is Vasher just leaves the sword and it gets stolen and
He's not worried about it at all.
he doesn't worry about now that becoming that guy's sword. So I think somehow it's got a connection to either him or a special type
Somebody.
of person.
Yeah.
Because I don't think anyone would just pick it up because they wouldn't kill themselves. They would start killing other people, and he doesn't even care about that. He's like, they'll just die. Like,
Well,
he
yeah,
knows.
but the sword he could be confident in the sword's loyalty towards him.
that could maybe
Yeah, they
that
could
is
be
it.
like just like good friends or something like that.
Or like I said, he knows he's going to be able to kill the most people with Vasher.
The thing is, like,
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
Vasher has that much
Connection with the
connection or loyalty
Yeah.
to the sword because he's like always fighting with it and like, no, we're not gonna
I
kill
agree.
him.
I'm saying
Yeah.
the sword is loyal to him because the sword all it wants
You
to do
think
is
that-
kill, and it knows that it will kill them. Because stupid people on the street, it's
Yeah.
not going to think like, "Oh, I'm going to be able to kill a whole bunch of people with this normal person."
Well,
right? Vasher's
There was a
kinda
lot
special.
of damage done
Yeah.
with Zeth Stone, so I don't know. People on the street can do damage.
But,
with
That's
stuff.
true, but yeah.
I feel like the people on the street would have a weaker will against the sword, and the sword would just like tell them to kill him.
So
like,
you
okay.
think he,
I
so you
also
think he
feel-
has a special connection to it?
Yeah.
Like it has to be wielded by him.
I also
I
feel
think
like
it's probably some
Vasher,
people who's not evil.
Vasher to
couldn't
a
take it.
certain extent definitely seems like he wants to somewhat preserve life. That's like he
Yeah,
doesn't,
he doesn't want to
he
unnecessarily
doesn't want
kill
to
people.
unnecessarily kill
He
people.
doesn't seem like.
I feel
a
like
bad
the sword
person.
would just like seek out somebody that's just bloodthirsty
everyone.
if he
Yeah,
was
that's
that way.
true.
There's definitely some type of connection here that we're not privy
Privy
to
to
yet.
yet.
You know.
Yeah.
And we do know that at a later point it gets
He
in the
might
hand
hold
of
something
Zeth. So
that has
Yeah.
to be by or.
Yeah.
well, what's interesting though is Zeth doesn't do anything special when he gets it given to him, right? Zeth's
No,
just
that
Well,
would
we
be
don't
so-
know. We don't know because we never saw him get it. He had it in the in-between book, the
yeah.
what's that
I forget
one?
what you're talking about.
the novella.
Arcadian.
Oh, what's his name?
Edge Dancer.
No,
Edge Dancer.
The Herald gave it to him.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, the
you're right. At
Herald,
the end
yeah,
of
we
the
do
book,
have
he
it
didn't
here.
give it to him.
And he,
But
but
why
we
did
don't
he have it?
know if
I
there's
don't really
anything. Yeah, and that's weird. How did he get it
Well,
from
Zyle must have
Zyle?
lost it at some point.
Or gave it away.
Or maybe Zyle's there because he needs to get it back. Or
Well, no, because I don't know. We don't know exactly what
If
the details
Zyle
are.
brought it
But the
with him.
one woman that's chasing him is chasing him because he's the one who brought it to that world.
Yeah.
So it's implied that he brought it.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it?
it is implied, but it's not factual yet. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she might not have the full story.
yeah.
very interesting.
Okay. Very good. So let's talk about this mountain village.
Idris?
Idris.
Idris.
And the changing color royalty and their little like huts in the mountain.
Changing
they
hair
hate color.
color.
They always wear black and
White.
gray and
Just white.
Oh, just white.
I thought it was so cool when we just like first because I believe we get introduced to Idris on chapter 1, like right
It's in the
after the
beginning,
prologue.
yeah.
And I thought it was just so cool that we get introduced to the magic system. We learn that color can be very dangerous, and then like right away we just come to this white world with no color, and I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
I like that contrast. It just really I don't know why. I just as soon as those two like right next to each
Contrast
other
things,
were
yeah.
just really fun for me.
Yeah.
I just remember it being a cool moment.
It's kind of like being in one of those. Oh, damn it! What's Brandon's name?
Oh,
Damn it! Damn it!
darn.
Damn it!
I also think it's really cool how the people of Idris
Jinkies.
react so strongly to color when they see it. You know, it's like things that we take for granted. We see color all the
Yeah.
time. Like we need really vibrant colors to be like, wow. But they can just see like a flower and just like look at it like it's fireworks. And I just think that's really cool. It just shows like how everything is relative and that when you're deficient in something, the introduction of that you're gonna be so much more sensitive to it, even if it's normal for other people. You know,
The
I also
grass
think
is
it's
always greener.
really
Yeah.
interesting that
No, I
they,
think it's the lack of
I think that's kind of
it being there. I don't think
Yeah.
it's like the grass is always greener.
I think they're related, but not the same exact thing.
Yeah.
I think it's like if you don't have something ever and then you get exposed to it, you're like bewildered by it.
Yeah.
Amazement.
Yeah.
I also
But if
think
you
it's-
have it all the time, it loses its meaning to you.
And kind of like the God King is the same way. He's not used to having a personal connection with people, and I think that's why he's drawn to Ciri so
Yeah.
much. You know, it's like this little bit of contact, this little bit of interaction that he's had is so powerful for him because he never has it. You
Like,
know,
think about it.
that's
like,
his color.
in our generation. Like, think about the fact that we can call someone on the other side of the world, like do FaceTime with them. It's so cool, right?
Yeah.
People kind of look at it now and like, oh, like if someone's calling them, they don't want to talk to them. Like, oh, why?
Yeah.
I know.
But like, think of when people didn't have that technology. If they had the capability of doing that, I'd be like, oh my god, what the hell? Like,
I
why would you
know.
miss up on this opportunity?
Like if you had this phone with all of its connectivity and abilities like 50 years ago, you yourself could be a world superpower.
Exactly.
It's like unbelievable, yeah.
I think it's really interesting too, or kind of cool, and sets up a lot of the contrast you get in the very first like chapter, like Brett was saying, when they go from the very colorful to the very dark. One thing that I did feel was a bit not forced, but I thought it was kind of like obvious, is they start with kind of showing that this color is not something that you're supposed to like indulge in or like be around or like, but the most innocent of the people, like the kids and like even Suri to an extent, are like, I like it,
Still
but
interested.
but the whole the
Attracted
culture
to
is
it.
supposed to be like, no, it's bad, but then to the most innocent or the most basic people, it's like, why is this bad? Like, it's, I like it, but it's like a forbidden type thing.
Well, that actually
Yeah.
kind of, I think that feels very like real to me.
You get forced out of stuff as you grow older.
I think kids in general are attracted to, I mean, obviously they're innocent, but I feel like when we're kids, we're attracted to some of the like most mischievous aspects of being human, and that through good
We're curious,
mentorship and parenting, you kind of strayed away
Or
from the
forced
most
out of it.
dangerous stuff, you know?
I don't know, but I feel like that entire religion is so stifling and so backwards, honestly.
yeah.
That like having a flower is ostentatious to them, as
I think,
like you're showing off. You think you're better than other people because you have a flower.
Well,
it's like no, you're just saying and
Appreciating a
everyone
flower, yeah.
appreciating it.
I think it maybe stems from them trying to prevent what happened with Halendrin.
That's part of
Yeah,
it.
because like the
They
color, like the manipulation of color with the Awakeners, because that's what they specifically say.
Yeah.
No color, no Awakeners type thing.
'Cause-
So like I think they think it's ostentatious to to do those things. Yeah, sorry.
But
Ostentatious.
it's more than that too. It's more than just colors.
Throw that word
they
in
can't.
there.
The
Yeah.
kids aren't supposed to have like races against each other because there's a winner.
You don't want to put
yeah.
yourself
No,
You
apart.
think you're better than us because you're faster?
I think it stems from that, and then they take
Yeah.
it like a step further.
Step further,
yeah,
yeah.
for sure. No, I don't really agree with their religion either. It's definitely, but I mean from this world.
But those
thing-
also have like 5 pillars of whoever the first returned.
5 pillars of what was it?
They made
wisdom.
5 rules.
Yeah,
One of them
yeah.
was like, don't think you're better than other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which
And,
in
like, they-
concept's not a bad rule.
Except, like,
it-
In the religion, like Vivian goes to other place and constantly she feels like she's better than these
Than
people.
everyone, yeah.
And like so these like heathens and
But Jules
whatnot.
totally takes her down. a
Jules?
notch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Which
glad
is
she
good.
did.
You pity me?
Yeah.
And Lissel,
Wait, you
she's like
believe
totally
this,
not
but you're
being
fighting
accepting of this other culture, and she felt superior to them because of her own religion. And the whole conversation like brings that to a head.
Oh.
It's
Yeah.
hard,
But
it's hard,
I
it's hard
don't
to
think
blame
it's
her.
necessarily just one-sided. I think that the other people as well are like, oh,
Same thing, yeah.
these
They're
people don't
prudes.
have even,
Yeah.
they don't even have like pretty dresses. Like, what the hell is
I
wrong
think
with them?
most people probably feel pretty superior in believing what they believe. Otherwise, they wouldn't
Absolutely.
believe it.
Exactly.
You know?
I think it's just like a really good example of like different religions.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
how that takes a toll.
But like
You see that a lot in
interaction
Stormlight
between
as
one
well.
of the main
when like
pillars
Rock
of
comes
the
in.
religion is not to feel that way.
I mean,
But
it's commentary.
It's like the same
on-
thing if you think about it in Christianity, Ben. Like, you're taught to love everybody, but then as soon as somebody doesn't do what you're supposed to be doing in that religion, you just like shun them or. You know what I mean? Like you try to
that's how some
true to
people
the
live
original.
it, and then others,
which is funny.
don't, you know.
correct.
Which is funny because, obviously that doesn't make sense because it contradicts the religion, which is exactly what
Is happening here.
ostracism. What do they call it?
Yeah.
Ostracism does. You can't feel, you're not supposed to feel better than somebody else.
Yeah,
or superior to somebody else. But then again, they do it right away as soon as they see it.
I think one common misconception about beliefs, though, is that people or beings are flawed, and even though you have a set of guidelines that you're supposed to live by, you're never going to always live by it. I even have my own moral code. It's not like religious driven, but I have my own set of values, and I don't live up to them on a daily basis. But every day I refresh myself and say, you know what, tomorrow you're going to do better in this area. It's like kind of guidelines, and even if you believe it,
That you do, though.
no, there's a lot that I do.
Exactly.
And then there's other ones that I'll only not follow it when I get pushed to the limits, or some that are easier and some that are harder. I think it's more...
It's like the ideal.
It's the ideal state
Yeah.
that we as humans or we as living creatures probably will never reach to perfection, but you want to drive towards.
But one thing is,
Correct.
too, Viviana
Vivenna.
has been described as perfect entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to her religion and town.
For her father, her sisters,
Yeah.
the people around.
Yeah.
And then you see how flawed she really is.
Yeah, of course.
Once she gets
Right
out.
away.
She's growing a lot.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's the point, right? I
Yeah.
feel like that's
That's
exactly
exactly
the
what
point.
he's trying to prove.
Exactly.
People
That's-
are so stuck in their
Yeah.
own beliefs that when they go outside of them and try to learn about other parts or other
Yeah.
beliefs, it's kind of like mind blowing. Like, oh wow,
Yeah.
the people that we think are
Heathens,
Yeah.
barbarians.
are really not. And then when you try to say or have an argument with them, and then try to, like exactly what happened with her interaction with Jewel, how she's like, why do you think that you're better than me?
Yeah.
It's just kind of putting her back down. Like, hey, you're doing what you're supposed to. You're doing exactly what you're telling, or your God tells you not to do.
And in fact, I'd say that thus far in the book, it's a tad bit one-sided in that regard.
Yeah.
Because I
don't think so.
No one from to tell her.
Yeah,
or
the,
Hallandren has
younger
gone
sister.
to Idris and gotten their
Oh,
ass
yeah.
handed to them about
I got
feeling
you, I
different
got you.
or being
Yeah.
superior.
But
I think part of it is also just the fact that certain beliefs or certain things may also be very attuned to that area because you're with other people that believe the same thing. It's like if you're a cog,
necessarily.
if you're a cog and you're like all kind of working together, and then you're put into a different machine. The machine's gonna be like, well, what are you doing wrong? And then the other cog that just got there is gonna be like, well, why aren't you guys doing it this way? It's been working for my whole life. It's like, well, you're in a different place now. Sometimes it can be attuned to that area where it's not going to fit every single person in that area, but for the most part, people are going to kind of form to it, and they're going to find some type of,
Well, then you got like one-offs, like the younger sister,
Yeah.
who's like able to adapt
Exactly.
pretty easily to all kinds of.
Yeah.
She's
How
like a
about
Play-Doh.
Speaking of fathers,
How about her father? Yeah. I was
wait,
gonna say-
Josh
really wants to talk about this.
before the father, I do want to say that I couldn't remember, and it was driving me nuts. I was like, kind of like that. Well, hell, there's no reason I should not remember that. There is more outside, sir. Oh yeah, or that. But it was The Giver.
yeah.
Freaking all they're white and they're like little perfect society, and
Yeah.
perfect rules.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, that kind of reminded me of The Giver.
I love that book.
I love that book. Who doesn't love that book?
Sorry.
so
Anyway,
I don't think you're a human being if you don't like The Giver.
I know.
So,
anyway,
yeah, what I was going to say, though, moving on to the father.
don't you want to wait for John?
I think
Sunshine?
he'll hear. I think that
What time we at? Is the father going to be a long one, do you think?
8:23.
part of the thing to start with is
We're okay.
it's very funny for the whole religion is like you're not supposed to be
John.
the one to stand out, but the father covets the one daughter that does stand out as being the
Yeah.
best. So I thought that was a very interesting thing, but I think personally that he made we know ultimately that how it went out and how it turns out, it was probably the right decision, but I think for the country, well,
I don't know how it turns out yet, bro.
Well,
I mean, it seems right.
better because
I'm just joking.
Series seems to be knocking it out of the park so far.
Series not going out of the park. I'm
But
just laughing.
with the father being like, I can't send the daughter that I know they'll have the best chance of using against me. So I'm going to send the one that's probably the least prepared, but the one that I actually probably do get a little bit frustrated with. I think it was the right decision.
So yeah, and I know you're directing this towards me because of our conversation
We just had a
earlier.
conversation.
Because I
What do you think, John?
In the beginning, what happened was I was just listening to it on my drive and stuff, and all of a sudden, he sends Siri. And I'm like, that motherfucker! Like, holy shit!
Not on
man.
the podcast.
I don't know what. I'm sorry, I'm new here. What are we rated?
No, we say it all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I would hope so. I would hope so. So like, I was pissed, and I just paused the podcast and I sent to Josh. I'm like, holy shit! Dylan's a fucking asshole. And he's like, Della who?
I didn't even know he was reading the book. What are you talking about?
And then Josh literally said the same thing. He's like, well, no, he did the right thing because it was the right thing. Well, what he thinks was the right thing for the nation. Also, I was like, I don't disagree with that. I still hold him not accountable, but I still am upset for him for having a preference in the first place. Just because he made the right decision based off of his preference means nothing to me. Fine, that's fine. It's still kind of shitty to be like,
be honest,
guess what? I prefer this person over the other.
Everyone has those preferences, though. You can't really go
to the extent that you would sacrifice one but not the other.
No, he's gonna sacrifice. He's gonna have to sacrifice one, and it's which one are you gonna sacrifice?
The one who was always meant to her whole entire life, not the one who had to be thrown in the last second.
See, but he knew that preference existed, and he knew that she could be used as a weapon against him.
He knew his own weakness.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm saying that I don't necessarily disagree with his decision.
What you're saying is he wouldn't be in that dilemma if he didn't have a preference to begin with.
But everyone, I don't think you can grow up and be like, I don't have a preference.
Well, if that's your belief and that's your religion.
Like I said, though, to that extent, though, that's a big extent in my opinion. The difference between willing to sacrifice one of my sons over the other, I'm not going to fucking make that choice.
Well, you have to. You have no choice. You're making.
You have to.
You could choose to go to war.
That is still a choice to send the eldest daughter.
You could choose to go to war, but
you're not. It's
And
not
they're gonna
about
lose.
you.
But
It's about the country or the nation.
but it's
They're gonna
summertime,
lose.
and he knows they're going to lose.
Yeah.
No, so I'm saying I'm frustrated that he has that much of a preference because if he didn't have a preference and it was between Vivenna and Ciri, and in general, let's be honest, it was supposed to be Vivenna the whole time. Even in the contract, technically, even though it was worded differently, it was supposed to be Vivenna.
Yeah.
So if they're equal, then you wouldn't switch it at the last second if you didn't have a preference.
The thing is also, I can see both his sides, but also Ciri has like no political power in her kingdom. She's like useless. She's redundant.
Yeah.
So one of them are gonna die. The one who's not gonna help the kingdom.
That's
out
true.
in
Actually,
long
the
run.
people would
No,
probably see it as less of a loss as well.
Yeah.
Correct. He even says like I can't hold my family more valuable than any other person, right? So he's like, if I have to do what's best for my nation,
I know, but the
Ciri-
fact is that he does have a
Yeah, he
preference.
does. But
I agree.
But
And
I mean, he can't
also had
control that though. It's not a
real
conscious
reasons
choice.
to do it. Also,
It's kind of like
yeah.
the way that I see it. This isn't.
But I still dislike him for it.
This is an extreme example,
fine.
but the way I see it is
That's
that,
all I'm
like,
saying.
let's say I had a kid that I was never told about. Then later on I have a family and I grow up with this kid. Suddenly this other kid shows up and is like, hey, I'm your son. I'm going to, at that moment, have a closer connection to the one that I raised from a baby than this kid that just showed up.
That's not what happened.
But I'm just saying, this father may have had a more connection with this daughter because they're together more. She's like doing the
firstborn
training. She's
compared to
being
the
trained by
fourth.
him. She's in line to like be more important. The
Should've
other one's
worn it.
just kind of off and about, and he probably doesn't see very often.
Shouldn't have worn a condom after that child then.
I'm not.
Oh my.
No, I completely understand what you're saying. Like, as a parent, like, or as a father, you should have a connection with all your children.
I
And
agree.
you're probably not going to have a favorite if you are a good father.
I would agree. Yeah.
So I can understand why you would
disagree with that.
dislike him because of that.
Yeah, I'm not.
But it's
Like I said, I'm not saying it's the
possible.
wrong
He doesn't
choice.
have
I just don't like it. I don't like him. I don't.
But
like
it-
him.
I think
that.
parents might tease that they have favorites, but I don't think deep down parents have favorites.
I think
I
they
think
do.
a lot of parents do.
I think some do.
And I think a lot don't.
Yeah.
I
coming from the favorite
Let's
child.
put it this way. let's put it this way.
I am totally not.
It depends.
He was too
it depends
good
if you're.
to be the favorite.
It depends.
Just the prettiest.
It depends if you're a piece of
Not
shit
even.
like Dedelic, or if you're a good person.
So I was thinking about it. I think that it depends
think it's
on
pretty shitty,
a
but-
little bit on the society. If we look
But I
at,
see
we
this-
don't know enough about the world here. If you look at historical cultures, especially if it's a lot more like the old feudal medieval times. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's true.
your kids are all tools for that nature. They will all be married off for some political
Yeah.
reason or another. If it's like that, then he knew his weakness, and so he gave another one away so that he could benefit it. There is an option that was not explored, though, which is that he could have sent her and then step down to his
Yeah.
son, who's been groomed to be the next leader, and then just been,
Yeah.
an advisor. However,
Think about like Italian families. They just had kids to run the shop.
I just hope that he.
That's what
doesn't-
my grandfather
I
told
hope
me.
that he just doesn't take credit for Siri's success.
Correct.
yeah.
I hope
Yeah.
he walks away into a cave ashamed of himself.
No, he still made the right decision, regardless of.
He made the right
No.
decision for the country, but the fact that he has a preference is pretty shitty.
Oh no,
I
no,
mean,
no!
it
but
does suck.
But I don't
but-
think he made the decision because he thought Siri would do better, though.
No,
he said that
But
Ravenna
that's-
would be better for the
for
nation.
the country.
Yeah.
It was if he would have sent the other daughter, the entire country would have been like, "Wow, you're the worst leader."
Well, I still don't want him taking credit for her success if she doesn't.
Yeah,
No,
but you
I
can't
agree. We
fault him
agree.
and say that he
We
should
all agree
run
with
off
you on
into
that.
a
I think we
cave and
agree
be
there.
like,
Yeah.
I do because I don't like him.
Disgraced.
I don't like him.
He should not
Okay,
be.
John.
And that's fair.
It's hard for me to
He's
judge
challenging
too
her.
harshly something that you don't have control over.
Correct. It's hard
You
for me
know?
to judge something that I've never been in a situation
Exactly.
about, or that I have any.
I don't think you have
experience
control over your preferences. I think they just happen. I don't know the circumstances that led to it. And I
being-
think that he made the right choice.
I'm being
It
dramatic.
does feel very icky. but
feels icky.
It feels icky. It feels icky, and I'm being dramatic.
Yeah, it feels icky,
What
and he
else is
knows
now?
it's icky.
Yeah.
He actually
Yeah.
admits it
Choice.
to himself that it's
I
icky.
like that they at least
bad.
showed his conflict
Inner
over
thought.
it.
Well,
you
it
know?
was a big conflict for
Yeah.
him. It wasn't just
Well,
like boiling.
I don't know if I'd say it was a big conflict for him.
Yeah.
It definitely was a conflict, but I don't know if I'd say it was.
I think
a
it's
big
Little
bad.
did he know that decision gave them 2 daughters.
I don't
In
know
a
if it was
different
that
way.
big of a he made that decision like 2 seconds after he realized the wording was different in the contract. And that
After he saw Siri riding away in
Point
a
is,
horse.
though, that decision actually
just-
lost him both daughters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't stay. She went. So they're all both over there.
deserves
so
it.
there are.
Hold on.
He's there, like cradling
Poor
in a
Ben's
corner.
been trying to say something for like
Sorry,
5 minutes.
Sorry, Hitman. Go for it.
It was 5 minutes ago. I forgot. There's one thing I would like to see. I wish there was one more chapter with the king.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd like to
He's
see
been
what's
completely-
He's been
no,
completely gone.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird, right?
With his daughter's gone.
And
You know he's doing shit.
well, you assume he's like building.
Well, in the first 32 so far,
Yeah,
I'd like to see more.
Yeah.
You think he's
I had-
Do you think he's just sitting there with his paper? Where's Vivenna been?
Is she packed from
Ah,
Big
she's fine.
She's a perfect child.
How long has it been? I kind of lost track of timeline.
It's
Is
been
it
long
like
enough.
months?
They know that
couple months.
she
No,
knows.
I
They
think it's
know.
been a month.
She knew that her father would have known that she went there when she arrived.
Yeah, she's like
left
worried about being
letters.
found by soldiers that are
Because,
in the area
yeah,
or
she
something
left
like
letters.
She
that.
told her
she
servant.
did, that's
She
right.
told her servant to
Yeah.
give her father a letter
when she's supposed to return from the mushroom hunting trip.
Yeah.
or something like that.
Time wise, it probably took her maybe about 5
week.
days to get to
Yeah.
tell her.
No, a couple weeks.
I thought it was like
Was
a
it?
week. 1 week.
Well,
I-
they explained that there's villages, and it's like a couple weeks to the king if the crops fail,
Oh, okay.
and then it's only like a few days to Tatella.
And then I know that the what's it, the jubilation, the wedding jubilation lasts
Was a
a week. And then
Yeah.
as far as Siri getting bedded unsuccessfully, that
was like-
a week, 2 weeks,
Well-
something like that.
Well, she made it there when she was introduced to the.
yeah, she started
the
getting
gods.
to going that process like the night of, which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's maybe been
The
2
way they
months.
do it.
I think it's been like 2 months maybe.
You think it's that long? I think
Like
less.
since they arrived in the city, Siri has
I think
been.
a month.
What's
At
that?
most. Oh yeah.
I couldn't help but think of that one scene. What was it? Is it True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yes.
I kept thinking of that during
think it's the
poor
tape recorder?
Siri's first night
Dads.
with the God King. He's just like sitting there looking at her naked. I'm just like, it's
You're
True
petty.
Lies.
Save these a little bit for part 1.
Yes, sir.
So, one thing I wanted to bring up real quick, which I think is always hilarious, is Vivenna and the general's son. Oh, she breaks and talks about how dummy is, but he's actually pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, I know. Like the
he's
one
like
fitting in
immediately
way
like
more than them.
camouflaged.
Yeah.
And,
I always thought it was weird how it seems like he should be more of an important character than he gets,
they kind of
exposure.
do drop him off a lot.
Big time.
Besides, just to use it as a contrast with how bad Viviana's doing.
Yeah, how he's so
he's like he adapted
hypocritical.
so well, and
He's such
He
an
just
idiot.
becomes part of the mercenaries almost, and he's like hardly talked about.
Yeah.
You would think that he'd be bigger because I was
pretty
assuming
instinctual.
I was assuming that they would go to love between them, but they haven't touched on that at all.
Not yet.
And, like,
Well, they
is
do
he-
touch on it a little
she's got
bit.
a crush on him because when he was
No,
talking
he
to
has a
Jules,
crush on her.
For
the
sure.
longest
He
time.
loves her.
Oh.
But like,
she was getting a little up and tidy when
but didn't-
Jules was talking.
But
to
didn't
her.
he say to Denth, like, oh yeah, she's supposed to marry me
But
or something like
even
that?
that's what the father wanted if there was no contract.
If there was no contract,
Even
right?
that came after a long time.
Yeah.
Like that was like there was a.
Well, that's like
so much time
literally
in between
probably like
that.
the fifth time he's mentioned. In the
Yeah, exactly.
In the whole time, time.
Except for how good he fits in.
I was
Yeah,
I
well,
was
that's something
surprised
other
when they
references.
mentioned that there was like a potential relationship between them at that point because I was like, wow, he seems so unimportant.
I just
Yeah.
think for the scope of the
Well, it's
book,
a
it must
arranged
not be
marriage.
important.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
just
guess.
what I think.
It's just some little
What is his name again?
Perth,
Perth, Penth.
No, it's longer.
It's like a political name. Parliament?
Parliament. Parliament sounds right. That's really close.
I don't think so.
No, that's very close.
Parth.
No.
We'll find out right now.
No, you're close.
Anyway,
Fact
go ahead.
checker, Manny.
Oh, I found my phone. I'm
Parliament.
sorry.
Oh
sounds
my
almost-
God!
Parliament.
Fact checker
Parliament
bring
sounds
his
almost
tools.
exactly
Yeah, he's
correct.
never without his phone.
We'll find
Anyway,
out.
what's next?
No, we were waiting for
Yeah,
we were waiting to look. I think what we're actually gonna do is put. I just put his head in front of the camera.
On that note, I think we're ready to do some refills and get
Yeah.
ready for part two.
I think it is.
Oh, I wasn't supposed to refill in the middle of that.
No.
You can too.
You
can
can refill.
you can
That's
refill
why I
whenever you
poured
want.
your next one.
No, getting up. I didn't.
All right.
I did twice. It's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
You're allowed to. It's not a problem. We've got several topics left, but I think we're starting to get into the meat of the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's good to set up some of the story discussion that we're going to talk about.
Probably need to
next.
start talking more like events and stuff.
Events,
like that.
stories, characters. I think that's key. So there's a lot to talk about in this. It's funny because even though it's focused and not shallow, that's not the right word, but it feels a little shallow.
It's less
a one-off.
dense than Stormlight.
The world is actually set up with all these little hints and its
Yeah.
expansiveness, which is probably why we could spend an entire episode just talking this.
Yeah, talking about like each little thing.
So with that said, we will take a pause and call it a episode. Cheers.
Cheers.
And another coming.
You gotta drink that.
Konbanwa.
Thanks again for joining us for this episode of Lit Literature. If you liked us, please check out our social media at Lit Literature 1 at Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't hesitate to join in on the conversation. We appreciate the conversation, the questions, book recommendations, anything of that sort. Join in right on the social media websites. And don't forget to check us out at our website, litliterature.com, and our upcoming projects, though there aren't many now besides Lit Literature, you can find at lyket.net, Lyket. We do have a Patreon account, but if you truly want to support us, please like and share. Cheers.